Hi and welcome back. So I think I got interrupted in my most recent video on the good practice management topic guide. My computer restarted for some reason, but I was at the end of my presentation, so I think we are good. I would like us to be a little more courageous today and talk about accounting. Now, the book we relied on in class was called Frankwood's Business Accounting. And this book explained several topics. To begin with, it started with the more basic principles of accounting, such as the accounting equation. So those were the basic concepts. And basically that was the main topic before we went into any other thing. It explained what the accounting equation was about, which is assets is equals to liabilities plus equity. And I know that it is crazy, but assets are things that you own and liabilities are things that you owe. Um, it's just how it's like a formula that will help guide all accounting problems as you solve them later. So it's just simply by adding up what belongs to a business and removing or minus what the business doesn't uh, own, like what it owes to others. Now, there are several ways to express this accounting equation, but mostly the main one here, which I am used to, okay, is the positive one, which is assets is equals to capital plus liabilities. So assets means resources in the business, and capital is who supplied them, and liabilities is basically there are some of the things in the business that the owner of the business did not supply. So it's about external or outsourcing of those assets, or sorry, of those resources. Now, the main thing to note here is that the totals on both sides of the equation must always balance. They must equal each other, and that is what is called as balancing, okay? Balancing, that is to be done in balance sheets. Balance sheets are also referred to as in Frankwood, they had this table of terms which included all these terms, how they were referred back then in the traditional UK system, and how they are referred right now in the international system. Now, such as, for example, the balance sheet is what is called in the traditional UK system, whereas in the international arena, it's called statement of financial position. So statements of financial position, these are what we want to know the status of a business at a certain time, okay? So they're normally periodic, they're done for a period of time, for example, from this month to this month, or at this date, particularly this date, as at maybe 30th of December 2023, something like that. So basically the statement of financial position would highlight all the assets, all the debts, which are also called accounts receivable, according to Frankwood's table of terms. which compared, like I told you, the traditional UK terms plus the international. So in what is accounts receivable is actually debtors, okay, or what the business is expecting to receive, okay. Now accounts, we have accounts payable. These are also called creditors. It is what the business has to give, okay, towards has to give to the outside, versus compared to account receivable is what the business is expecting to receive, okay, from the outside. Now I say statement of financial position, aka balance sheets, just to show the financial status of our business as at a certain period of time. Mostly, whenever we are supposed to work out this statement in an exam, we are supposed to include a title, that is statement of financial position as at that required date, for example 30th June 2022, and then you have your T. Your like T, there's like where you have, is it a T really, or am I dreaming here? A T, like where you have, it's not like a T. Okay, I think I'm confusing. A T is later when we talk about the double entry, where we have the debit and credit side, but it just has this column where you have the assets, you include all the assets, and then you less the liabilities, then you arrive at your arrive at your balance or capital. So it's, you can see here the accounting equation uh, applies, because where we have assets, you outline them, and the basic accounting equation is assets is equals to capital plus, is it, I'm having this right? I'm sorry, it's not a joke. You have to make sure you know what you are doing. So let me double check. Is assets is equals to capital plus liabilities. Now, where we have assets, you highlight them, then you list the liabilities, you arrive at capital. So meaning capital is assets minus liability. So you can see the accounting equation can be expressed in various ways, where you express it negatively, such that you want, there's a minus there, where you are removing things to arrive at, for example, capital. If you want to find capital, you minus liabilities from asset. If you want assets, it's up. If you're looking for assets, which is the basic natural expression of the equation, you start with assets equals to capital, you plus or add liabilities, because the assumption is the assets of a business don't just comprise of what the owner has brought to the business, but it can comprise of what other people have contributed to the business, which now have become liabilities because they need to be paid back. Yeah. So basically, that is the introductory stage here. Uh, so in Frankwood's book, that is by the 13th edition, if I'm not wrong, we have the most basic. It goes from just a minute. The most basic introductory topics, like the accounting equation, and moving to more technical topics like the double entry, where we are being taught about the credit and debit, like in a T account, where you have like two columns, one for debit, one for credit, and for every transaction there's a double entry, okay, that would go on the debit or credit side. So every transaction has two things happening or affects two methods. Okay, affects it's like two transactions. We'll go through that sometime later. uh So the debit means the place on the left side, and the credit means the place on the right side of the account. Uh, and the totals must always equal. The totals of the credit must always equal those of the debit. Okay, and yeah, so that is whole business of double entry. That every transaction has two elements that is affecting. There is an item that is exchanged, and then there is a form of settlement. That's why we have these two entries. Okay, so yeah, so it's more about understanding this concepts so we can work out the problems using the basic principles. Let me just find this table of contents, just a minute. If Frankwood, where are you? Yeah, so there's no short way of understanding, there's no shortcut, I'm afraid. It's just to take time and go through this. Geez, what's wrong? In the morning, everyone is busy, including houseflies. That's why I hate mornings. Unfortunately, the rooster is busy making noise. Everyone is waking up from their sleep. It's so hectic. I don't like it. So we have business accounting, Frankwood's business accounting 13th edition. This is the book. So the highlighted contents, they go from simple or basic to the most complex. So first is introduction to financial accounting. We have uh, just the introductory stage, such as the background, recording transactions, effect of profit and loss, balancing of accounts, and the trial balance. Now the trial balance, I remember, did I tell you about it? Yeah, I think I told you about it. It's the same as the balance sheet, which I told you. Am I wrong? Let me confirm first, because as I told you, we don't guess here. If we guess, we lose. Profession or provision, profit and loss. So in the table of terms, which is found in this book, you will see that the names vary, but they mean the same thing. Like I told you, the balance sheet is the same as statement of financial position, but the trial balance, I don't know where this is. Okay, the trial balance, I think, should be the first ever record or book of recording transactions. It's supposed to be the simplest, but let me just see what it's all about. Just a minute, I remind myself. Some of these things you can forget as soon as you leave them out of your mind. You can just forget them. You know, it's it's it makes me feel so much, respect to to know that there are people who are actually doing this as a profession. And yeah, they do this like it's their whole life. It's crazy when you think about it. I'm trying to find out the trial balance, but I don't know whether it. Let me just check again. I'm not finding it, but I'm sure it's like on the most what do you call, it's on the introductory stage of this book. They shouldn't have books for this. They should just have some form of 3D uh, AI, electronic whatever version of this, so you could understand accounting. It shouldn't be recorded in books or try, you know, put in words at all, because according to me, these two just don't mix. Okay, words and accounting, no, it shouldn't belong in a book. Should be somewhere in, like, this whole setting pops up and all these problems are being calculated and you're seeing everything, and everything is practical, you know. That is my version. That's how I would choose to learn accounting, like that, hands on, with my eyes and all my five senses, my ears and everything. Yeah, so I don't know why it's taking forever. I don't know, to find this. So annoying. So annoying. Anyways, I think I'm just getting overworked for no reason. The trial balance, where are they? Yeah, so finally we are here. So this, I don't know why they introduced what a trial balance is head on when it's actually chapter 6, and there's like a whole chapter on it explaining everything. So all we want to know at this stage is what it is. Okay. Yeah, so what is a trial balance? So we need to check that for each debit entry, there's also an equal credit entry. In order to check that there's a matching credit entry for every debit entry, we prepare something called a trial balance. So a trial balance is to record the double entry, the one we talked about, where for every transaction there are two elements to them. There is one that is to record the transaction that happened, and there is one to say the form of transaction, the form of settlement. Okay, one for the item, one for the form of settlement. So this trial balance is just to show, okay, is to show this double entry more clearly, and that is what is called a trial balance. So it's actually, I think, the longest, it's like the most broken up part of accounting, where you have, like, if there's an account, let's say for equipment, or account for rent expense, you would have it, like you would have all the accounts step by step listed out, and then you would record the double entry for each one of them. That's our trial balance. Okay, then uh, so you list all the accounts, and then you enter the total of all the debit entries in each account in one column, and the total of all the credit entries in each account into another column. Finally, you will add up the two columns of figures and ensure they are equal. Okay, so an example of a trial balance would start with a heading or title: trial balance as at, let's say, 31st May 2017, and then you would have your debit and credit side. Okay, you would have your debit and credit side. I'm sorry guys, my cat is making so much noise. I don't understand why. Maybe I should ask her. Basbusa, come up here. Why are you making so much noise? Come, come, come. She doesn't want to come. She's been making so much noise this morning. I don't know why. Okay, where was I? Yes, I was explaining that you would have this, you would list every account. Let's say if it was a sale account, a bank account, a cash account, and then you would record the double entry of them. So you would have two columns for debit and credit for each account. Yeah. Yeah, here is like Basposa, say hi. Hi. I make noise in the morning. Yes, you do. Now go. Give me some space. Yeah, so if you have like a sales account, you would have it written sales, and then you have this column for debit and column for credit. We say debit would go on the left and credit on the right. Okay, if it's a purchase account, you would have it separately if returns inwards. If it is for a person or a client or a customer, you would record that. Yeah, so basically that's that. Yeah, so this reminds me of a ledger account, of a ledger, but my goodness. uh, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. You must have an open mind to these things, to this topic of accounting. Otherwise, you'll just feel like, no, this is not for me. But no, that's not true. There's nothing that is not for us. It's just in our minds. Then there are topics like the financial statements of sole sole proprietors, that is business owners. We have like the statement of profits and loss, and that is a whole chapter on its own, and it explains how to get to that. Other topics which are important, I think, for law students who are sitting for their exam, is to find out what this method of recording the financial position or status is about. What types of uh, record keeping or bookkeeping there is, like, where do you begin? We've heard of the trial balance, where we have the double entry recorded for each account. There is also the statement of profit and loss. There is the statement of financial position. There's also books of original entry or ledgers. There's cash book. There's uh, the journal. Okay. There is uh, yeah, I think those are the basic types of meaning we need to know. Then other types of accounting information include the cash flow, which can also come in the exam. I think it came in the April 2022 exam. We had a question on cash flow, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so it was question 2 on commercial accounts. We were given all this information. We were given like a summarized cash account. Then we were told to, the question was a statement of cash flow using the direct method, including a reconciliation of the profit for the year with cash from operations. So we were required to have a statement of cash flow as well as a reconciliation. So all these types of recording accounting information, and this reconciliation, cash flow are one of the key areas of accounting that law students preparing for their bar exam should focus on, because you see there can be questions coming from different of these areas I've mentioned. So if you don't master one, you can always gain some marks in another area which you find easier to understand. So the question can ask for cash flow, the question can ask for reconciliation, bank reconciliation. The question can also ask for an advocate's account. If you are familiar with that one, you could choose that question on advocate's account, where you have your client's ledger account, and you like list them per client for a certain period of time. Yeah, so it's better if you don't know one thing, at least you know the other things or another one, so you could choose at least, because you are required, I think, to choose, must answer one question from each of the sections. So you are given a chance to answer one question in the commercial account section, which is section A. So that is question 2, and it has question 2 and question 3. Okay, so you have two questions. You must answer one of them. So if you are not familiar with the cash flow and reconciliation, you could choose the advocate's account or vice versa. So other topics, of course, that's not the only thing. So I think Frankwood's book of accounting offers the basic principles. Once you understand record keeping, you understand double entry, then you could. It also offers problems, so you solve the problems after the end of each topic. So you solve your problems, and then it gives you like a picture of how the exam questions could come about. So I don't know if this book, Frankwood's business accounting, has a chapter on advocate's account, because it's not a legal book per se, but it has like partnership accounts. So where, let's say, where maybe the law firm is a partnership, I think this would help. It also talks about these industrial accounts, like special accounting procedures, like departmental account, manufacturing account. There's also statements of cash flows. So that is part 6 of the book. So I think if we discuss cash flow, that would be the part we would look at. There's also joint venture accounts. You know what a joint venture is? It's commercial. By the way, that question came in the commercial paper. That's by the way on joint venture. Like you need to find out what this kind of arrangement is. You're given a story, and then so it's where like two people agree, maybe if they are supplying, or if they are supplying materials or something for a project, they would enter into a joint venture agreement. So there'd be an account for that. There's also income and expenditure account under part 6. Then there's like adjustments for financial statements, bad debts, depreciation of non-current assets. Now that's where I think we would discuss the concept of where fixed assets are depreciating with time, like the value of let's say a lorry would go down. Okay, it would go down with time because of wear and tear and all these other things. And then you need to know how to record entry for this depreciation. There's also bank reconciliation statement. So I just mentioned that reconciliation came in the April 2022 exam. So under this book, there's also a topic on part 5 on bank reconciliation statements. Yeah, so that is something we can look at. So there's also, I forgot, there's a question on cash book. Cash book was question 2. Was question what? Yeah, question 2, which gave the information, then asked for. No, sorry, it wasn't question 2. It was question 3 on advocate's account. They gave us information and asked for a cash book, which was 4 marks. So books, that is in the book, or in the business accounting book, it's in part 3. That is cash books is discussed there. Then there's also the journal. Statement of profit and loss is part 2. Statement of financial position is also part 2. Yeah, so part 1 I told you was introduction, and it explains what is an inventory, how to record transactions, balancing of accounts, and the trial balance, what it is, like roughly. Then there's a whole chapter on trial balance, which I told you, what was it, chapter 6, which explained in detail the double entry process, how to record them, which is in a trial balance. So basically, those are a few of the topics, main ones, which are discussed in this book, Frankwood's Business Accounting, 13th edition. I think the latest is this 13th edition, which includes some new edits and new trends in the accounting world. I just opened, yeah, there's something I wanted to go through. There are some notes on accounting. Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, those are the basic principles. What is an accounting equation and how that is expressed in these types of recording, like in a statement of financial position, in a trial balance, in a ledger, in a journal, in all of those which we'll look at. We said a balance sheet is the same as statement of financial position, because there's like difference in how the words are, like different words meaning the same thing. mm-hmm. So yeah, so basically that is that. mm-hmm. Double entry. Okay, uh I was going through the double entry chapter, and that was like 3 months or 4 months ago, and I've forgotten. So I think what I will do is just dedicate a day for that chapter and understand what it means. My goodness, what is going on outside there? It's so noisy in this neighborhood. So there's also the income statement, I think I mentioned, as a type of recording financial information. So what is accounting basically? Is the apart from the fact that it is the most terrifying thing for a law student who hates mathematics and who is, what do you call, left brained or right brained? I think right brained is for those who love maths, and left brains is for those who love words. So yeah, accounting terrifies law students. It terrified me too, but I think it's all in our minds. We just need to have a paradigm shift, and nothing is too hard for anyone. It's just how much we limit ourselves with our own minds. uh, so yeah, so if you're looking to understand accounting, I think you just need to change your mind about it and know that we can understand it if we want to. We open our minds to this and read the book of Business Accounting by Frankwood. Preferably if you have the 13th edition. Just read, go through the topics I've mentioned and choose the ones that you would like to start with, which is the introduction and the double entry system. Just know that accounting is a way people record what happens in a business. And because some things don't need to be communicated, not all things should be communicated using words. Some things have their own method of being communicated. Like, look at it like uh, it's a fresh, new, exciting way of communication that does not need words, only methods and numbers. Like, there's a system, and once you understand the system, I think we should be okay. Yeah. So, and with that, thank you so much and Happy New Year. Let this be a year full of blessings and the year in which we become courageous, daring even, and do stuff we have been afraid of doing all our lives. The year where we burst out of our cocoons and just face the world, including accounting heads on. Happy New Year.